Good afternoon to you there in British capital. I hope you're safe and doing well. Your thoughts on Iran's latest maneuvers and its ongoing drive now and push to increase its deterrence capabilities and also its awareness protocol to its highest level.
Well, we know that Iran, since its 12-day war with the imposed war by the Israelis and the Americans, has demonstrated a fraction of its capabilities, military capabilities, which were the first, second generation, not the most newest technologies that it has. So it's kind of shown its deterrence power to some extent. However, what Iran needs to, I suppose, show in the next stage is deterrence against not necessarily countries who attacked it directly. However, countries that have used their bases or their countries for attack on Iran. And specifically, I would be looking at areas like Azerbaijan, where Israel used. And we know Iran is capable of dealing with such kind of interference from its neighbors or factions within the countries that are its neighbors, as it dealt with Kurdistan and the Kurdish spy espionage bases that existed in Kurdistan of Iraq, north of Iraq, and how it managed to deter them from acting further against Iran. So Iran has the capabilities, and it's shown them to some extent. It may have to show them on a smaller fraction, on a smaller scale, against smaller adversaries in the region.
And the Iranian Defense Minister Reza just yesterday, Aziz Nasrizadeh, said that Iran used its older missiles in that 12-day aggression. That this time around, and we don't know why. Possibly because no one knows at the time in the war cabinet if it's going to be a 12-day aggression against the country, 120-day multi-year, and basically it wants to pace itself accordingly or restraint. Little do we know, but it said this time around Iran is going to use its most lethal and sophisticated missiles it has at its disposal. So how do you think this time around, if there is more adventurism by the Israeli entity in the U.S., how things will look?
Well, unfortunately for the Americans and the Israelis and their group of countries, the NATO countries, they don't seem to understand diplomacy and law, international law. And so they attack whenever they can. The only time that they stop attacking a country is when they see that there's a deterrence, that the cost of their attack outweighs any benefit that it provides. And so I think Iran on this occasion has said that if there's an attack, we will not have a gradual increase of military hardware used against you or defense. However, we would go hard, hit hard, as the Americans used to say, the shock and awe aspect of it. So they may use shock and awe doctrine on Israel to deter it from attacking Iran again. And we have to see, because Israel will not stop until it tries to unravel Iran, until it changes the regime or changes the system and government and collapses Iran. Because Iran is the only country, is the only country in the world standing up to Israel and the United States and its plan of taking over the West Asia region.
And with the irony here, Reza, Iran has spent years building strong deterrence and defensive capabilities, and it hasn't invaded anyone, it hasn't occupied anyone, and it's been demonized exactly by who? Regional invaders and occupiers, and basically we saw that in the 12 days of aggression, that even those that were not involved in their aggression against Iran were basically just as complicit when they failed to condemn it.
I mean, not only countries or organizations were complicit, but they assisted it. So the IAEA assisted providing excuse for the Israelis to attack Iran, because the first excuse the Israelis and the United States gave was the nuclear program. So unfortunately, these countries only understand power and force, which Iran has. And the good thing about the Iranian defense system is it's indigenous. It doesn't require military missiles or equipment to come from outside like China or Russia. It actually supplies technology to other countries. Up to a few years ago, they used to make fun of Iranian defense capabilities, but now they fear it. They use it as an excuse to say that Iran is supporting major powers like Russia with its drone and missile capability. So the only thing that they understand is power and force, and Iran has that. Iran may have to demonstrate it, and we know that Iran has worked on much more advanced technology, missiles, Khorramshahr 5, Khorramshahr 6, which are capable of reaching all the way up to the United States and having a much more powerful payload. And Iran doesn't need to declare every new technology that it invents and creates, as United States and Israel doesn't. So keeping that ambiguity is very important, and that's one of its powerful deterrents.
All right, bud, stay safe, Reza. Always a pleasure, man. Reza Vidadi there joining us out of London.